Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Genre Play. We're here at Cabot Crescent, and this is where us three game masters chat about tabletop role playing games. We have different experiences, different games, different ideas, and so we might debate a little bit while we share some tips and tricks. Today is story time, and Greg, you're going to share a story, right?
Well, this is part of the series where we're bringing up successful campaign starts that I think Woody started. Should be out by the time this comes out.
I've been trying to get this for like the last 6 months. And
he keeps bringing it up.
He's getting this to happen.
Mine actually comes from when I first started playing D&D, again, after taking quite a long break, because I played in middle school and then a bit of high school, and then I took a long break, and then I played at work. So when I started again, I bought this guy here, right? Everyone's probably seen this, right? Because it's what you're supposed to buy.
Yep.
And it comes with a campaign of Lost Mines of Phandelver.
Oh, okay.
Phandelver. Except there's a problem with this campaign. I think it's awful. I started playing it, and if you've had success with it, that's great. I didn't do it well, and maybe it was totally on my side. And so I started it the way you're supposed to start. Everyone had a character that you came into town to the Lost Mines of Phandelver. You get assaulted by the goblins. Spoiler alert. You get assaulted by goblins that you're waylaid. You're supposed to defeat them. And it goes from there, right? I found that it got really boring really quickly. And it starts out kind of with a bang, but then it just kind of trails on into a sandbox that is not very interesting. And I think even they know it because they came out with another edition of this later where they changed it quite a bit, actually. So what I did instead was that was just at someone's house where we drank so much grog, I fell asleep on their driveway, probably not the safest thing. But then what I did next time was we decided to play at work now during lunch at work. And we did that for like over a year, I think, right? It was like every other day at lunch. You know, you only pay for like 45 minutes at a time, but still.
Yeah.
So what I did instead was I did the exact same campaign-ish. It probably helped that I had just finished Baldur's Gate for the second time, Baldur's Gate 2 for the second time. But I made it so I used this campaign as a background, and I made it so the drow had a hunting party out where they were trying to capture slaves effectively. And they were waylaid by the drow who defeated them easily. They're going against high levels as first level. And they realize that the priest is casting Spare the Dying on them whenever they go down, right? And so they get captured, go all the way to the Underdark. It becomes like an escape from the Underdark thing. And it ends up relating back to the Lost Mines of Phandelver because the drow were using a certain spell forge within that mine to bring back demons back into the material plane effectively to try to accomplish some goal. I don't remember. It was a long time ago. Like started Phandelver, quickly went into the Underdark, came back around, back to Phandelver, going into all the maps that I could reuse from this campaign and everything, right? And it worked pretty well. It actually, like I said, it went for like a year or something like that.
Can I ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
So I've never read the Phandelver book, so I'm kind of at a bit of disadvantage here, but it kind of sounds like what you're saying in a way is that adventure is kind of light on narrative, and you fixed it by kind of like getting a backdoor into it by having built up some sort of drama and story around it that didn't exist.
Yeah, especially at the beginning of it, to where it puts them, because the problem, especially with new players, if you have them put them into a sandbox, it's going to get awkward really fast. I found, and and that's exactly what happened. Whereas this put them effectively, it actually worked out really well since they were new players because it put them into a gladiator ring in the Underdark, which they leveled like 3 levels through that, right? And it gave everyone like a good understanding on how combat works in 5e
and what their characters were capable of.
Exactly.
Right.
And then from there, they eventually escaped doing some shenanigans where I borrowed a lot from Baldur's Gate 2, which is a perfectly valid thing to do. And then and then they eventually escaped, and the rest of it happened. And obviously they worked together and they wanted to keep going as a group after that. So I would call it pretty successful.
Well, the like part of the success, like sexual strategy of creating interest, is also like you need to have obstacles to overcome that are very clear and obvious, right? And people decry being railroaded, but at the same time, like you still need a direction, right? And putting somebody into this environment, do whatever you want, and then just get out of their way, but they don't know what they can do because like there's this whole wide world of what's out there. There's no hook, right? And so what you've done is you've taken a situation where there was like the worst thing you'd ever give somebody is unlimited choice, right? And then you gave them only one choice. You gave them a clear objective: escape, right?
Right. And the choice can open up after that, obviously. Sure. Right.
And there's lots of control of lots of ways to, like, how do you escape? Well, there's lots of options, right?
Oh, yeah.
But like they now had a clear objective, and they didn't have that before, and that's good. It's interesting how many of your campaigns start with an escape mission, though.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It's so easy. It's like a hack. I just ran a Dark Sun for session 1, where it's the same thing. You start out as a slave in a gladiator ring.
I mean, it's kind of Baldur's Gate 3, right? That's how it opens here.
Greg's Guide to Running a Successful Campaign. Lock him up.
Yeah. What's funny is I actually do like sandboxes personally, but most people I've played with I found don't like sandboxes. It's just the way things have kind of gone. They want to just play their character through the story.
There needs to be a narrative. Like you can have a sandbox, but there has to be like clear storyline there, right? And, but it
helps.
Yeah, like you're not gonna. You have to have something to get that storyline started. Marks, go.
Yeah.
Yes, very good. Good job. Yeah. No, I found and I think this happens with a lot of different modules. I think you need to. I forget. Did you say you ran it a little bit once and it didn't work, and then this is the second time you ran it? Yeah,
exactly. So, with the same group.
That's interesting.
Really? Yeah. Okay. That's real good because now there's a timeline jump, right?
Yeah. In fact, I think there was like 1 or 2 people that were different between the groups. And we actually talked about like, would those 2 adventure parties actually meet up at some point? Because technically they could. But we never actually made that happen.
I've done that. It's really weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes these modules need to be manipulated a little bit. Like Curse of Strahd, that's a great sandbox. It's good in a lot of ways. And now that I ran it once, I would run it a little bit different next time. So, because I understand the plot threads better and everything. There's a lot going on in that adventure. It's a little hard at first when you first play it to keep track of everything. That's why people make companion books and stuff. It's like one of the most popular third party, book creations, I guess. But now I would be like, I would work this a little different. Like, for example, in Curse of Strahd, there's this thing where you randomly generate like
cards.
The cards. And I did that, and it mostly worked okay, but there was points where it clustered them. It's a sandbox, so they could go almost anywhere, but they ended up like finding certain things really a little bit too early. And I realized, like, I think what I would do, a second time is I might roll that, but then I would, if they're clumping together, I would spread them out a little bit, because it's sort of like you get these items to help you defeat Strahd. It would make sense narratively to make sure that they kind of trail to him a little bit. If you get them too clustered, they get them and then they're like, I don't know what to do now. I'm not powerful enough yet to take on Strahd, right? So I would tweak that a little bit, for example. So I think you did a good job. It sounds like, of doing that and mixing the middle and making it a lot better of a venture for your group. So,
well, it also changed it up because the players had already been through the mines, and so you created a situation where you can keep it fresh and reintroduce it.
Yeah. The players they only did one session of the way you're supposed to do it, and so they got into the city outside the mines, and that's really the weakest part of the module. If I have any criticism of this, it's everything that comes before the mines. Funny enough, because the mines are nice, they're defined well. the city just feels like a sandbox where nothing's important, and you have to pick between like 5 different non-important things, And
the city should
it's
be the
just,
most important part.
I agree. That's why I think they didn't do well in the module. But yeah, they came out with another one. So if you're gonna play it, do the other one. Don't do this one. This is the old one.
Is that 5.5, Greg? Are you telling people to play 5.5?
No.
So you reminded me of something here, because I've got this adventure module that Palladium is not good about putting out adventure modules, but they do have one for the Palladium Fantasy called Island at the Edge of the World. That I had the book, I read it years ago when I was younger and less experienced, and now that I'm reading it today from a more experienced perspective, I'm like, it's good, but like some aspects of like how the story is supposed to progress, it doesn't. I to see a party going through some of these events the way they want you to, I can see that a lot of players would not really go along with it this way or engage with it the way that the writer anticipated, right? When I was running a Palladium Fantasy campaign as kind of like a palate cleanser between campaigns for the guys, and that they loved it, but like I was thinking of doing that story, and then I changed my mind once I'd read the book again, and but like I was trying, I still want to kind of go do it, and I've been, and they ended off the campaign close to that region where the campaign starts, right? So I'm trying to think of like, how can I use this content and make it work for the group, because now they're higher level and they're absolutely would not make sense to be in that situation, and so it occurred to me kind of the same thing that you're doing, where what if you move the bar on the timeline, like what if they enter into the adventure after the major events had already transpired?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. And you can add more events that way too that don't necessarily need to line up.
And I don't necessarily want to say what happens, because like God forbid one of my players actually watches this video, but like the thing is that there is like a major event that happens in that, because the book is meant actually to be like, you could run an entire campaign just out of this book with the stories in there if you could take your characters like all the way just out of this one if you wanted to, and Palladium's really good. And, yeah, exactly. And Palladium's really good about scaling like that. But like the thing about it is like it, that there's a major event that happens, and if that event already occurred in an previous age and somebody else already went through it, right? And then you now have what's left behind. Now you have something that's kind of like a fertile ground for exploration that could hook the parties on a mystery, because they don't know what happened, and they're now just rediscovering something that got lost all over again, right? And so but you can take a fresh take on it and still have that story, but not be limited by what this module is supposed to be.
I think you shouldn't be afraid to hack a module. So one of the things I've learned to do, which I learned like with Call of Cthulhu, for example, but it's a lot of games when they have timelines. They're like, oh, the next day this will happen, next day this happens. It's so hard to follow that way. The players don't want to wait around and go like, let's go to sleep and call it a day, so so I have to like ignore that and push certain things. And
well some of those things can be helpful if the bad guy behind the scenes is on a timeline, and if the party's off doing this, he's still progressing. Right?
No, Monster Week does that, and that's great. But putting specific times on it, I think, is challenging, especially when you spread it out. If you're like, this adventure is going to take a month or something, it's like, it's not going to take a month. And
no.
We could have a whole, maybe we do already have an episode on running a module, a pre-built module, because there's a bit of an art to it.
I don't know. I mean, like, the thing is I highly recommend it, and I mentioned this many times. We talked about this in the first episode, actually, because like if you're brand new and you have no skill as a GM and you have to run this game, like if you can, you of the three things you have to worry about, taking the story out of the equation, where it's just rules and the players, like having one of those things off your table is a huge advantage. Right. And so, the modules are fantastic for brand new game masters, like, 10 out of 10. You should be absolutely doing that.
Yeah. I think I have a lot of advice too on how to make the module, because one problem I have with modules is it's really hard to keep up to speed with everything in the module, because you want to kind of read it as you go, but you also don't want to be blindsided about what comes. And
you got to read the book first,
and it can be difficult, especially for idiots like me who will forget a name the moment you read it, right? So, there's ways to get around it though.
And a good module should also be fairly short and self-contained. Like the big campaign setting ones, like Island at the Edge of the World, or you've got the Curse of Strahd, right? So some of those big campaign setting books, like
don't do those first. No.
Yeah, no. Or the old ones book for Palladium Fantasy is another one like that, where it's like there's a huge amount of prep you would have to do to be able to
I even struggled with this one. I was just looking. I found my old, I don't know if you see this, I have old Post-it notes in it, apparently. I was really going at it, like trying to get ready for it, and it actually didn't help.
Yeah, because these modules are intended to have a particular ending, and it is good to know what that ending is supposed to be. I mean, they could very well derail and go in a different direction, and they frequently will. But you still have to know what you're setting up.
I have to say, Kelsey Dion, that's one of their strengths. Is she's really good at making a workable, like, dungeon adventure that you can pick up really quick and not get lost.
Person who made Shadow Dark,
Shadow Dark.
Yeah.
She does a really good job doing that. There's a whole art to that, because some of these modules. There's Goodman Games, who does Dungeon Crawl Classics. There's a little bit of a buzz online because some people, I think someone, maybe Quest the Beast, I don't know, some YouTuber said it was saying like this, the text is too thick and this is not easy to run and stuff like that. And
I think it was Questing Beast.
And people got really defensive about that and stuff.
And then he had to do a retraction video. Go, well, I might be wrong.
I mean, if you're used to it, sure, but it is challenging to run. Like, you're going to have to do a lot of prep. You cannot get by with a little prep on that kind of stuff.
Well, it's interesting on the subject of like running prepared adventure, because recently we ran through that adventure I was writing, already writing down what I already did, but like that one for Cyber Symbiosis, right? Yep. And in writing that adventure, what's interesting is if you're doing what's intended to be a 4-part story, and then you have to write an ending because you have to print something, right? And so, but the reality is like I've got this fourth part, which is the most likely thing to happen, right? But like it could very well have gone differently, and you guys chose to kind of go with that one. Like you didn't really push too hard to deviate too much from it, but like you absolutely could have. There were a number of options you guys had to break with the story, but But the thing is,
turns around and shoots the couple. Yeah.
we should have an episode.
I did not see that one coming.
Well, maybe we could do it after this one.
Yeah, I'd love to do a behind the dice on a deconstruction on that. But like,
we could do that. Yeah.
But the thing is that like that was tricky because the ending, I have to write an ending because it's of course based upon what I intended the ending to be. But at the same time, the number of things that can go wrong in that adventure could take them so far beyond that ending where it's useless, and I have to address these things because in the writing of the book, I have to talk about like, it might not be this. You should be prepared for this. And this it describes some of the options. Like I have to describe all these potential branching scenarios that may never happen. But I have to address them. And it's an interesting writing problem, particularly when you have a very like this book could only be so many pages. Mm-hmm. And so I have to get all this stuff in there, and I cannot exceed my page budget, because there's a price point for it as well. And I have to keep it at that price point. And, if I go, okay, well, let's just go nuts, that's not going to work.
That's when you put a hyperlink and go, just click here to see other options online.
I will try to avoid that as much as possible.
I know.
Scan this QR code. Yeah. But we should totally do an episode on running a module or running a campaign setting, either one, like using a pre-built something, right?
Yeah. Maybe talk about writing adventures, that could also be good too. But Greg, it sounds like you did a great job. I mean,
Bravo,
I wish I had enough information to dissect it more and have a little more criticism in it. But like, because we should be like picking it apart a little bit. But I do like what you did because you had.
Wait, I have a surprise. One of Greg's players is joining us.
That would have been great.
Pat was there.
Yeah. No,
he wasn't. Never mind.
Because like when you've got a situation where the players have already played. And then they got new characters, and you loop it in again, like that. That's a good trick. Like that's usually conventional wisdom would say that you don't go back there.
Yeah, I I actually struggle with I've been working on it recently, making my own world setting, or not world setting, but making my own campaign, like full campaign.
Yeah.
And so I get a lot of benefit from using pre-built stuff. And I don't want to go off a tangent, but can talk about it when we talk about doing that stuff. I do have my method of using pre-built stuff that changes it quite a bit.
Oh,
Well,
cool. We'll talk about
I
that.
think I think that's smart actually, because you should be like, a GM needs resources, not work, right?
Yeah.
And if you can reuse an element and put, like if there's a map that can be reused here, and the players will never know, because they weren't there the first time, right? Like,
exactly.
why not?
Yeah.
Or that they're never ever going to read this book for this other game. Just borrow the map.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Speaking of maps, have you guys ever seen that map? There's a map I saw in the restroom at a game store one time, and it was a world map, but all the oceans were in the shape of the continents, and the oceans were the landmass. So it was like completely reversed.
Huh.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah. So there was an ocean in the shape of North America connected by a narrow passage into the ocean in the shape of South America. And then there's
a lot of land.
Yeah, it's all land around it. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
But no, I've not seen that map in that restaurant. Is this been Utah or?
No,
it's very popular in Utah.
It's one of those things where, like, the game stores, I don't know if this is for you guys, but there's no old game stores anymore. And so old game stores accumulate lots of interesting things, and then they go away. And then the ones that replace them are just, only selling what's hot. And they don't have a very good used game section. They don't have all these things, and so they're all just D&D books now. And,
well, I got at least one game store. It's got a lot of stuff. So lots of board games also. But
I haven't been to a game store in years.
I went for RPG free day and got a bunch of free stuff. It was cool.
Well, we only have
outside though.
We only have 2 good game stores in Washington, and neither of them are convenient for me. One of them is 5 hours away in Spokane. The other one's like 2 hours away in the state capital. And you can't just pop
only
over.
2? The Home and Wizard of the Coast, you don't have more?
Well, Wizard of the Coast used to have their own retail stores, and those are gone too. And those were great. But no, it's I mean, we have game stores, but they're all like things that they just come and go. They're new. They're a lot of them are focusing on Warhammer and D&D and things that you think can move, and but the really good places that have lots of interesting things where you can actually go get the stuff you actually want. There's only 2. Yeah,
we have one here. I think I don't know if it's still open, but I don't know. That sounds like an episode that we finished within 40 minutes.
I think so. Yes.
Yeah.
I think we might have been finished 15 minutes ago, but
yeah.
All right. All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching. Let us know in the comments what you think about that story, and have you ever revisited a module and made changes to it? Let us know, or perhaps that particular adventure. What do you think of that adventure? Does it really suck?
Yeah.
You agree with me?
I mean, is the second one better?
Yeah.
They remade it. Yeah.
Well, they're actually about to do a re-release of Island at the Edge of the World that's updated, which I'm excited for. So I really want to get that.
All right. Yeah. Well, until next time,
keep mining.
When the dice roll high, we touch the sky. But when they crash, it's a barely laugh.